I actually come from 13 years at Prudential Financial before I started my career in emerging technology and growth in AI. And so this is a very fascinating conversation we're about to have because it kind of continues to validate why leaders, CEOs, founders, business leaders need to pay attention to what's happening with AI, because industries that once were considered, I would say,
Laggards, maybe.
laggards,
Yeah.
can change in an instance with this technology. So, with that, let me ask you the first question. If I gave you 60 seconds in front of CEOs to explain, what's the future of finance look like? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I'd say the future of finance, especially with the power of AI infused across every step of it, is that you get to provide very personalized, rapid real-time services to a segment of one. AI gives you the ability to narrow down the types of services you would provide to your customers that are hyper-personalized in nature. They help you process transactions and do all of your back office and middle office steps at near real-time pace, lightning speed, and you get better decision making throughout. So you'd be transformed from a provider of financial services and banking services to a fully AI-enabled decision engine that lets you elevate the experience that customers have in their financial futures.
Okay, so that was about 54 seconds. Good job. Just kidding. Let's get into banking first, right? Because I'm a big believer in use cases, because everything that you said is kind of like the nature of what artificial intelligence can do in any industry, right? Precision, using data for precision, for personalization, for unique customer experiences, all the things. Banking is an interesting one, and that's why I wanted to start with it. Is it's been disrupted a couple times, right? With mobile banking, obviously with fintech, and when we have like PayPal and Stripe, and just the way payments have been processed and all the things. With AI, where do you see current state of banking? And where is the future state of banking? The beauty of what you guys do is you're doing the work. And literally right now. So some of the use cases that you shared with me, I was blown away. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think use cases are a great unit, I'd say a molecule at which you can look at AI adoption because it has intrinsic value, right? There's certainly conversations we can have about AI and banking that are more focused on giving people the technology and the tooling just to see what happens with productivity and innovative ideas and so on and so forth. But use cases have intrinsic value associated with them, so it's a good modicum upon which you can look at the AI transformation. Some of the use cases in banking specifically are all focused around operational efficiency. So any kind of document processing, extraction, KYC processes, looking up information across multiple systems, et cetera. That's where AI is now being infused into the workflow to systematically improve the accuracy with which these decisions are made, as well as to reduce the human effort, because human effort might involve human errors as well. Another set of use cases which will come very logically to the mind is around contact center, call center operations, et cetera, where traditionally it's been, you have someone look up a bunch of information to answer a question or resolve a customer complaint or an issue or something like that. And the volume of calls and transactions that we're seeing coming into these contact centers is so enormous that traditionally banks have just been solving that with more human effort, even with very mature platforms and service providers in the space. Now with the advent of AI, that's where a lot of the current use cases are focused, is how do we make it more self-service for our customers so they don't have to pick up a phone, they don't have to send an email, they can ask a chatbot the right questions and learn about your products and services, potentially even resolve some of their own issues by interacting with an agent, although that's still a little bit emerging.
With AI agents.
With AI agents, that's right. Not call center agents.
Not call centers,
that's
right?
Yeah.
So I think initially, even when we're depositing checks today, you can do that on your phone. So now these agents are much smarter and actually can answer the right questions on your accounts and all of those things. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. And I'd say that's the tip of the iceberg. We'll soon see the advent of resolving disputes, opening accounts, sourcing the right rates for your loans, for your car loan, home loan, etc., all done using AI agents, and that's the direction that we're going in. But in addition to that, there's a whole, it's kind of invisible to the average bank user, there's a whole industry in processing all of these calls and getting analytics out of them and classifying it and so on. And that's where we're seeing a lot of our clients being interested in finding efficiency and optimization and so on. Transcribing calls so that you have a record of the conversation that happened, and then performing an audit on them in real time. So if you were a call center agent, it would give you feedback right after the call saying, you know, you got something's wrong, or your tone could have been better over here, or great job, you handled an irate customer really well, so we're going to nominate you for an award internally or something like that.
Yeah.
Those are some of the spaces where we're starting to see more AI adoption.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the ones that you're sharing are common around many industries, right? Like anything that's like customer service related, the processing and sort of efficiency side of things when it comes to documentation. You did mention KYC, which is knowing your customer, very specific to regulated industries. But I was in front of the Mid-Atlantic Financial Association and just very recently, and it was about, I don't know, 40 executives from different banks, small, medium banks, versus larger banks. And, you know, one of the insights actually you gave me, which when we were doing our prep initially, was that things right now are focused on all the productivity of efficiencies in every aspect, which is amazing. But then what if large language models can move your money, right?
Right, that's right.
And what if, and so like, and when I say that, that means ChatGPT, you can literally eventually go on and say, hey, can you move this into my account? Or can you do X, Y, and Z? And the question became, what happens to the bank structure then?
Right.
Right. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I wanted you to bring the common use cases because that's what's happening right now. But in parallel, there are like these companies working on the future of banking, which will be accelerated. And so there is going to be this, like, again, I always use this word in my podcast, a messy middle, right? Like, so just what is your take on, yes, they have to do this, which is AI enablement, versus restructuring and the operational, like different operations and the way business banks are run?
Yeah, I mean, this, again, it applies to all industries, even beyond banking, but banking in particular, there's a lot of emerging excitement on this because you're going from being AI assisted and AI enabled to being AI native. Let's unpack that specific example that you and me spoke about was you can now process payments, make purchases, et cetera, through your chat interface in ChatGPT or you know, agent of choice. The reason that's become possible is you have companies like PayPal and MasterCard and Visa and others that are providing the integration points for these agents through MCP servers and other, you know,
technical servers, but
yes,
it allows different legacy systems or systems to speak to each other, which has never really been able to be done like this before.
Yeah, it's a standard protocol for agents to communicate with their systems. And what's cool is these firms are exposing them now to the world to build MCP servers around them or to build agentic interactions around them. And so you're able to go into your chat interface and send people money. You're able to make purchases and so on. The implications that that has for banks, both the issuers as well as the servicers of accounts and so on, is most of your customers might become agents now, right? You won't have humans processing transactions. You'll have agents processing transactions on the behalf of users, consumers, retail consumers, as well as enterprises.